Good evening, everyone. Kamusta kayo, guys? How are you? How are you tonight? How do you guys feel? Okay, that's good to hear. Sorry to disappoint, hindi hamak mas gwapo kasi yung nag-introduce sa akin eh. No, but thank you guys. It's really a privilege and an honor to be here right now to speak about this topic. Kasi sobrang, when I was preparing for this message, sobrang feeling ko kahit ako, parang binabasag ng Panginoon sa message na to. And our message is called Keeping It Real, no? And it's really all about, what do you think? What is it about? Hindi ko naririnig. It's about authenticity, yes. No? So last week, our speaker was Dan, and he talked about how social media, in social media, we need to really learn to be more engaging and more intentional in our relationships. Because yung online nga, pag minsan sa social media, it has really become a popularity contest. As Dan mentioned nga, madalas tinitingnan daw niya yung mga pictures niya and tinitingnan niya talaga kung ilang likes na. No? And I can understand that because many people live for the likes. No? Because it tells them parang it's an affirmation or parang it's a validation of who they are. No? And it's really something that has become very common in this day and age. So we're gonna kind of delve deeper into this, no? Because if we are talking about having real relationships on social media, then there is a need for us to understand what is authenticity, what is real. Because medyo, pag minsan sa social media, blurred yung lines between real and what is fake. Pag minsan nga, pag nagtingin ka sa social media, yung mga news feeds, pag minsan yung mga news, parang hindi mo na alam kung totoo ba yan or peke. And in the same manner, even the things that people post online, you don't even know anymore if it's true or not. No, I've had the parang blessing. No, I've had the privilege na bata pa lang ako, I've always been online. No? Kasi as a young kid, my parents were always very busy. And I was bullied kasi nung bata ako eh. And so parang for me, relationships were hard to come by. And so I found myself surfing the net at a young age. Panahon pa ng dial-up. Sino nakakaalala ng dial-up? May nakakaalala ba nito? Ito, to. Sa screen. Yan. Naalala niyo ba yan? Yan. So, I remember after school, I'd go home, and then, magko-connect ako sa internet, gagamit ako ng one of these prepaid cards, no? And sobrang, pag midnight nga, merong only na promo. So naglalaro pa nga ako noon time na yon. So, I discovered a whole new world on the internet because parang, for me, internet was an escape. No, internet was an escape, and it's a way for me to get away from my troubles kasi nga my parents were busy. And it's not their fault naman, but they were busy. And then yun nga, binubuli ako. And then, syempre, parang as time went on, parang there's a desire for you to connect with people online, no? And sino nakakaalala naman ito? MIRC. No. Okay. So yung mga luma dyan, guys, yung mga oldies dyan, alam niyo yan, no? This was the first, siguro one of the first chat application software dati, no? Nakakaalala ng ASL, di ba? Yan. So, I got hooked into MIRC kasi because I could not form bonds in real life, I would form bonds on social media. Ito yung pinaka-social media nun. No, I would form bonds via chatting with people, random people. And there was kasi a safety na parang kasi they don't see you, then you can just talk about yourself. You can walang fear na kung hindi nila i-reject ka, edi so what? There's so many other people online, no? And then nauso ang Yahoo Messenger naman. Yes. Medyo yan siguro mas maraming nakaka-identify, nakakaalala Yahoo Messenger, no? So, I would spend hours chatting with people. I would spend more time chatting with a person than I would spend talking to that person in person. No? Parang face-to-face, mas madalas ko pang kausap. And it was easy Parang kasi hindi ka nakikita ng tao, so you can parang come up with what you want to say, parang you can form an image. And that's really what the internet has allowed us, to create that image. Tapos, naalala nyo guys, may mga tao nag-Friendster, di ba? Yes. Hindi ako nag-Friendster. I mean, funny thing, I did not go to Friendster because I didn't think I needed Friendster kasi may Yahoo Messenger naman ako Pero multiply ako. Ayan. Nakakaalala ng multiply, di ba? So, it's now parang store, na siya, portal. No? So, this was, parang, siguro ito yung pinakaunang social media talaga na pinasukan ko, multiply. And then, nagkaroon ng Facebook. Ayan. Hindi nga ako nag-Friendster So, Facebook. And ang tagal ko pa bago nag-jump into Facebook because I didn't see the need for Facebook at the time. May multiply naman ako, may Yahoo Messenger naman ako. Why go to Facebook? Hanggang sa na-realize ko, halos lahat ng friends ko nandun na. And the only way I could connect with them is through Facebook. Hindi na ako makakonect masyado sa Yahoo Messenger because people were not using it as much and people were no longer using multiply. So, nag-Facebook ako. And so, just by looking at this, you can really see that technology has changed the face of relationships. Technology has changed the face of relationships. Now, before I continued, I have a video that I would like us to watch. Can you play that? Alam mo, nakakatawa siya, pero if you think about it, is it possible that someone might actually be doing that? Yes. No, totoo. It's an exaggeration. But honestly, we don't really know when somebody posts something online, lalo na pag hindi natin masyado kilala, kung totoo ba talaga yung pinapost nila. The thing with technology kasi, technology, like I said, has changed the face of relationship. And online, you can be who you want to be. It has allowed a lot of people, lalo na yung mga medyo awkward sa social skills, to be able to connect with other people online. But at the same time, it has allowed other people to wear a mask, to mask who their real self is, and create an image that might not necessarily even be them. Diba? Actually, may isa kong kwento, yung a friend of mine, a long time ago, siguro mga several years ago na to, he became interested in this woman na nakausap niya online. And then later on, lagi sila nag-uusap. They would chat on Facebook, and nung may time pa yung Yahoo Messenger, nag-Yahoo Messenger sila. So, ang dalas sila mag-usap. But then, later on, nagtaka siya kasi every time gusto niya makipag-meet with this girl, ayaw niya makipag-meet. There's always a reason or an excuse. And then later we found out na yung accounts niya, everything was fake. As in talagang a fake persona. Yung pictures niya was grabbed from some other account na hindi mo, as in kailangan mong halug-hulugin para mahanap. So hindi mo talagang ganun kadali malalaman na fake. And all her other accounts were fake. To the point na hindi niya nga alam kung babae nga talaga. He did not know if she was a she. So, ganun ang kalalim yung parang yung the lies that this person formed. And nakakatawa pa, this person was supposedly popular sa parang mga forums, mga online forums, mga online chat rooms. So, grabe ang the way that you can really hide who you are online is actually very scary. And you know what? What's interesting, that even Christians, hindi immune. Because some Christians also actually put a veil or put a mask when they are online. Can we play the other video? All right. So, yeah, like I said, not even Christians are immune. And this is, syempre paro dito. I hope naman we're not doing that, no? But it's very, very easy to fall into the trap of parang posting photos online and parang making up an image na parang so that people would look to us na parang, oh, galing naman niya, napakahuli naman niya, or parang, wow, parang lagi siyang nagbabasa ng Bible niya. And that's the thing kasi, we have actually become an image-obsessed society. So we become an image-obsessed society. And the sad part is, because we have become an image-obsessed society, it's not just online. It's not just on social media. People wear masks. People wear an image. Parang they project something, even in real life, because more often than not, there's a fear of showing their true self or their true feelings, no? And people have become really afraid of what we call unfiltered communication. Kasi sa online, when you're chatting, when you're posting post, pwede mong pag-isipan yung gusto mong sabihin eh. Pwede mo talagang, you can come up with a wonderful post, a wonderful copy, marketing copy, no? And, you can post it walang fear na people, parang pwede mo pag-isipan, will this offend a person, will this be okay, etc., etc. Pero ngayon, nangyayari, even in real life conversations, pag minsan takot tayo. Ako personally, pag minsan, I have trouble answering calls na hindi ko alam yung number. Kasi natatakot ako eh. Parang gusto kong i-filter muna. I want to make sure that I know who is calling and before I answer. It's an irrational fear, but it is actually something that has become a normal or norm in society. And the thing is, hindi lang siya modern day problem, no? Ang pagiging image obsessed is not a modern day problem, and in fact, it is a problem that has existed since time pa ni Moses. So let's take a look at this passage in Exodus 34, no? And let's go ahead and read it. So Exodus 34, 29 to 30. Can I ask everybody to read? Ayaw niya gumana. Sige. Okay. So in this passage, para lang naintindihan nyo, no? Moses was in the desert on Mount Sinai with the Israelites. And he would regularly go up to God kasi he was getting the commandments from God. So pupunta siya doon, and when he was speaking to God, yung pagbaba niya, his face would shine. Sobrang lakas daw ng shine that the people were afraid. Now in Hebrew culture kasi, there is a belief that when you see the face of God, you would surely die. Kasi yung glory ni God, sobrang glorious. It cannot be in the presence of anyone that is not holy. No, so natakot yung mga Israelites when they saw the shining face of Moses. So when I was originally reading this, I thought that Moses was putting a veil on, nilalagay siyang veil para i-protect yung people of Israel. However, si Apostle Paul, he implies something different in his writing in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. No? And we will talk about that. And what is he implying here? And we will read the passage later, but basically, gustong sabihin ni Paul that Moses was not doing it to protect the people of Israel, but instead was actually putting a veil on and living with a veil. He was actually protecting himself rather than the people. And we'll take a look at this passage dun sa 2 Corinthians. No? And this is what Paul says. So 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 13 to 14. Can everybody read? Okay. So just by reading this passage, makikita mo na hindi yung reason to protect the people of Israel, that wasn't the reason why Moses wore a veil. Sabi dito, so that the children of Israel could not look steadily at the end of what was passing away. Ang nangyayari kasi, the longer that Moses was not with God, yung shining glory of God, the shining face, was starting to fade away. Ang takot ni Moses was not that the people of Israel would not come to him. Ang takot ni Moses is that the people of Israel will see that the shining glory on his face was beginning to fade. And that's why he put on a veil. Ayaw niyang ipakita sa mga Israelites. And that's the sad part, no? Is that even in the Old Testament, we could see that people actually wore a veil. Moses pa to, no? Sabi dito, but their minds were blinded, for until this day, the same veil remains unlifted in the reading of the Old Testament. So even during the time of Paul, that same veil was there. It had blinded the eyes of the people. So Moses hid behind the veil not to protect the people, but so that they could not see the glory of God on his face was already fading. So as you can see, even in this example, no, that very common for people to hide their true self. Why? For whatever reason, meron silang tinatago. And many people wear many veils, many masks. The question is, what veil are you wearing? Ano ba ang sinusuot mong veil? So let's take a look of some examples. No? There is what we call the religious or the holy Christian. Pag nakita mo online, parang lahat ng post niya about devotions, about yung ginawa niya sa church, parang to a point that you feel like nagyayabang siya about the things, that the religious things or the holy things that they are doing. But the question is, are they really doing it because they have a love for the Lord? Or are they doing it so that people can praise them? Busy in ministry Christian. Yan. Pagkausap mo, pag tinanong mo, kamusta ka na? Busy daming ministry, kung ano-anong sinasalihan. Parang feeling mo lahat na lang ng time slot niya sa schedule niya, ministry ang laman. No? So parang gusto ipakita na parang, ay, sobrang devoted niya in serving the Lord. Happily and joyfully serving. Again, the question is that really who they are? The Christian know it all. Pag tinanong mo, lahat ng Bible verse itatapon sa'yo. Okay? Parang feeling mo pag nagkaroon ng theological discussion, siya ang unang-unang magsasalita. No? And parang parang it's like it's not just a popularity contest. It's really parang who is the smartest? Are you smarter than a 5th grader? Parang ganun yung dating, no? Then there's also the private Christian. Everything's all right. O kamusta ka na? Okay naman. No? Kahit anong tanungin mo, kahit anong mangyari, lahat okay. Kahit anong mangyari, okay lahat. Pero in fact, there are times that person is not okay. Pero dahil sobrang ayaw niyang i-expose yung private self niya, hindi niya sinasabi. Even to people that they trust the most. Maraming ganun. No? So, these are just some of the veils that many people wear and many Christians wear. And the question actually that comes to mind is, bakit ba ginagawa nila to? Why are they doing this? Why are they hiding behind a veil? So 2 Corinthians 3:15 says, but even to this day, when Moses is read, a veil lies on their heart. A veil lies on their heart. You know kasi, when we become so busy in projecting an image, when we become so busy in making sure people do not know who you truly are, we actually start to forget who the people are around us. Because a veil that first covers the face will eventually cover the heart. Yun yung passage na yun, sinasabi niya, parang dahil tinatakpan mo yung true self mo, you are now blinded from seeing what other people are experiencing. You are now blinded from actually being a blessing towards other people. You're now actually blinded if people are happy or not. Kasi ikaw mismo naglagay ka ng veil eh. So pati puso mo nagiging manhid. And so, that's really the danger when we put up an image. And no one is immune. No one. I'm sure every one of us at one point or another have put up an image. And no one can escape that. Bakit? Why is that? The problem kasi is that a veil that blinds us, this veil blinds us from seeing others for who they truly are and seeing God for who He truly is. Because as long as we put on that veil, as long as we put on an image, as long as we hide our true self, our private self from other people, then we will not truly experience what it is to be in fellowship with others. We will also not truly experience who God is. And the thing is, sometimes yung veil na yan is very subtle. Sometimes hindi mo talaga mapapansin. Sometimes you're not even trying to project an image. You're just trying to protect who you are inside because you don't want other people to know who you are. And why do we do that? It's because of fear. The question is, what are we so afraid of? Ano bang mangyayari pag nalaman ng tao kung sino ka? What do you think? Ano bang mangyayari pag nalaman ng tao sino ka? Ano bang kinakatakutan natin? When I was going through this message and I was thinking about it, ako personally, I would say, one of the reasons why I'm so afraid that people will know who I am is because of rejection. I am afraid that when I actually expose myself and let people know who the true John Benares is, that they won't like what they see and that they will reject me. Ang hirap nun. Kasi parang, in-expose mo na yung sarili mo, you made yourself vulnerable, tapos i-reject ka lang nila. The other reason that I noted, and it's not a personal reason, but nakita ko rin to, people are afraid of getting hurt. Yung i-expose mo yung sarili mo, tapos mararamdaman mo lang, sasaktan ka lang pala. People will just betray your trust. People will just talk about you. People will just, kahit tinanggap ka nila, kahit kaibigan ka nila, pero yung mga sinasabi mo, sinasabi sa ibang tao. Natatakot ka na by exposing yourself, your true self to other people, that you will just get hurt in the process. And that's why people are so afraid of showing their true self to others. And this is so common, hindi lang sa social media, but in real life. And even among Christians. So what do we do? Diba? How do we get over this fear? So we've talked about recently, sa dating series natin, we talked about getting out of our comfort zones. And why do we have to get out of our comfort zones? Because more often than not, fear is the one that hinders us from actually moving forward, stepping forward, and growing in our lives and growing in our walk with the Lord. And the only way to be able to conquer these fears is through Christ. It's through God. It's God lang talaga. Only Christ can remove the veil. Kasi kung wala si Christ, I wouldn't even be standing here because I don't want to do this. No? I don't want to be exposed to people and to be made fun of, to be rejected. Nakakatakot yon. Pero God gives us the power. God gives us the strength. By His Spirit, He allows us to do things that we would never be able to do. He allows us to overcome the fears that we have in our lives. Ano ba naman ang Diyos kung sa mga problema natin, sa mga fears natin? In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 to 18, can everybody read? Sabi niya dito, when one turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. So what veils are we currently wearing right now? What is hindering us from actually really being authentic and being true to the people around us? What is stopping us from letting people know who we truly are? Because when we're so afraid, nakakalimutan natin lahat eh. Nakakalimutan natin ang mga tao around us, nakakalimutan natin ang Diyos at nakafocus tayo sa ating sarili. We become very, very selfish when we are afraid. But the chapter here, or the passage here, tells us that when we turn to the Lord, the veil is taken away. It is only through God that has the power to allow us to overcome the fear, that allows us to be who we truly are and who He wants us to become. Sabi niya, there is liberty. In other translations, it says there is freedom. Kasi when we are so obsessed with hiding our true self, when we want to keep everything private, when we are afraid of letting people know who we are, walang freedom doon eh. Walang freedom because we're stuck in that. It becomes a bondage in our lives. But there is freedom when we come to know the Lord and He allows us to be true to ourselves and true to Him. And He says, with an unveiled face, we are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. The problem kasi, when we put on a veil, no, is that we are hiding who we truly are. Di ba nga pag sa wedding, bakit nilalagay yung veil? Kasi the woman hides their beauty until such time that the husband removes the veil and sees the true beauty of the woman. Bakit sa temple in the Old Testament, bakit may veil doon? Kasi tinatago yung glory ni God from the rest of the people. Because nga, di ba, if you see the glory of God, you could die. Di ba? But because of Christ, the veil was torn away, and now we can come to Christ directly, and we can actually see who Christ really is, and He would actually be the one who changes us. When we live with an unveiled face, we allow for the work of God to transform us who we are truly meant to be. Napaka-importante kasi hindi natin makikilala ang Diyos, hindi natin makikilala ang ibang tao until we actually come to Him and allow Him to change us and to mold us. And only through Him can we also have the courage to step out and be true to who we are and who He wants us to be. And in the end, even if people reject us, God will never reject us. So I'd like to call on my dear sister, Dana, who will be sharing her testimony. Sister in Christ, wow. Narinig ko yun. Palakpakan natin.
Hi. Hi. Hello. You know, I do this for a living, but every time I do this for God, it's crazy. Okay, good evening. My name is Dana Gutierrez, advocate, author, and one half of the creators of Plump.ph, pioneering the first body-positive advocacy in the Philippines. My twin sister and I started blogging long before social media came about. Blogging for us was therapy, a way for us to process and share our thoughts as we try to make sense of this world. We were 12 when we started writing on the web, and it was purely out of hobby. We started our combined blog, theplumpinai.com, last November 2009 when my twin sister Stacy started recovering from anorexia bulimia. We were new believers then, and the verse that struck us during a J-Zone summer camp was Psalm 139:14. I praise you because you made me in such a wonderful way. I know how amazing that was. It really gave us fresh insight on what beauty truly means, and it was only later on that we realized it was the inspiration of our advocacy. The Plump and I was a personal blog where we shared our thoughts on body image issues, something that seemed to be taboo here. We wanted to talk about what it's like to be a fat woman in the Philippines and raise awareness on health at every size, fashion equality, fat discrimination, body shaming, and bullying. We started featuring other plus-size women on our blog to create a community and to make other girls have fashion inspiration. We believe representation matters, and back then, no one dared to celebrate nor share their lives online as long as they're fat. Well, at least in this country. We didn't know our platform would be a hit. As brands started getting us to model for them, media outlets wanted us to be featured, and universities and schools wanted to hear about the body love gospel we preach. When 2012 came, I had an epileptic seizure due to stress at work, which caused me to have a downward spiral into depression. By God's goodness and grace, He delivered me from such a dark season in my life, despite suicidal thoughts being so tempting and real. My absence from the internet made people wonder how I was doing, and we've gotten queries from followers and readers asking where I was. My sister turned to substance abuse while I was depressed because she couldn't understand what was happening to her once jolly, kenkoy, and fun-loving twin. My immediate relatives and friends thought that getting a job and going out would be the solution. Although it did peel me from my bed and force me to get out of the house, I jumped into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll party life. I blatantly turned my back on God because I still couldn't understand the seasons I was going through. Later on, I wrote a comeback post to explain what happened to me, but I didn't delve much into the hedonistic lifestyle I was living. I knew in my heart that I was living a double life. Telling people I'm a self-love advocate, but in reality, what I felt inside was the complete opposite. It was during a big retreat that I resurrendered my life to Jesus and finally committed to take my walk seriously. It's been a good and steady ride in terms of my advocacy career, but God has a knack in chiseling and pushing us to level up as His children. It was just late last year that God convicted me to share my struggles with porn addiction and lust on my blog. I'd been pursuing purity by this time, but I still viewed porn and lust as my consolation being single. I knew in my heart that a lot of women were on the same page as I was, but the shame and condemnation of talking about it were too fearful and disheartening. I started my personal blog, thedanasaurus.blogspot.com, as an honest account of my faith walk and my views on womanhood. I wanted to start the conversation that mattered to me regarding issues that not a lot of people wanted to discuss. I felt the pressure to look and act a certain way as a Christian, especially if you're a public personality. But John 5:31 says, "If I alone bear witness about myself, my testimony is not deemed true." If I believe that honesty is the beginning of healing, then acknowledging that I have struggles is the first step to take. Like surgery, I had to expose the problem area. Mark 4:22 says, "For nothing is hidden except to be revealed, nor has anything been secret, but that it would come to light." I knew I had to kick my 14-year-old addiction. I wrote about it and my desire to get clean on my blog. It tormented me to be an advocate for women and yet support an industry that totally hurts, abuses, and devalues them. I praise God for the new heart He put in me. The response I got from women blew me away. So many girls messaged me, opening up about the same struggles, believers and non-believers, single and married women alike. It humbled me, and it felt like it was God's assurance that He called me to be authentic, not perfect. I believe Jesus didn't care about image, but authenticity. And it's been 4 clean months of sobriety from my porn addiction, and I've never felt freer and more human in my life. I praise God and God alone. Authenticity is one of the main pillars of our advocacy and one of the traits I've committed to as I continue my career as an advocate and public figure. I used to be pressured with the numbers game of followers and hits, but it all was considered rubbish when I saw the bigger and greater picture that my life is for Jesus, not for the likes or well-curated photos. I use social media to share my thoughts on faith, purity, sex, and self-worth, despite the occasional hate I get. I do engage with people who question my beliefs, but I also have to pick my battles. Matthew 7:6 states, "Do not give dogs what is sacred, do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." We are launching our own women's club on May 25. A dream that's been way overdue. We've always wanted to create a community of women where we can empower them and talk to them about our value, worth, and beauty in Christ. By God's grace, an owner of a digital ad agency walked up to us during one of their gatherings and told us that we are free to use their space for our events. God's timing is perfect, and we know for a fact that our followers/audience is our ministry. Online image is such a huge deal among millennials today, but I want to take it one step further and use it as a platform to shine God's light and love in my life. I want to show people that Christians aren't blind followers and our belief is firmly grounded on the truth. It is not intellectual suicide to follow Christ. I hope to encourage women that our bodies were paid for a price, so we are to take care of it with utmost love and respect. How can I expect my friends and followers to believe that life is best lived with Jesus as our Lord if I myself do not live it out? We are called to be authentic, and if that means I have to show the ugly, unattractive angles of my life, so be it. I want to end my testimony with lyrics from my favorite song, Felix Culpa by King's Kaleidoscope. Jesus bought me and now I am his. Dying with him in his death now I live. All my vices to which I was chained only speak the sweetness of my Savior's grace. A fortunate fall, my sins are stories of grace to recall. A fortunate fall, I glory in my sins forgiven. Since we're in the topic of honesty, I will tell you a little secret. Testimonies used to be too formulaic for me. Darkness story, then meeting Jesus, and then struggle-free life. But that's false. The struggle is real. I still stumble and fall with my lust, but what empowers me to keep walking is the grace of Jesus Christ. If you're like me who used lust or porn as a crutch for a long time, I will tell you this, and I will tell you now, it's like losing a limb. But it's worth it, because the life Jesus offers has incomparable freedom than any pleasure this world does. Again, I'm Dana Gutierrez, daughter of the one true King. To God be all the glory, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sobrang inspiring. It's such an inspiring story and testimony, but it's also very true. No, it is only through Christ that we can have the victory and overcome any kind of self-image obsession. It's only Christ that will allow us to truly be authentic and allow people to see who we truly are. Before I became a Christian, I was a people pleaser. Sobrang people pleaser. I allowed people to dictate who I am. Kung anong gusto nila, mag-a-adjust ako. To the point that I did not know who I was anymore. And that's really the problem when wearing a mask, when wearing a veil, is that not only do we not see people for who they are, we do not see us for who we truly are. But when Christ came into my life, I understood that my identity had to be rooted in Him. Yes, I stumble from time to time. Sometimes I still fall into the trap of people-pleasing. Sometimes I still fall into the trap of creating an image so that people will like me, so that people would want to be around me. Pero that's nothing if God does not love me. That's nothing if God does not love us. And when we hide our true self behind the veil, we miss out on the opportunity to be a blessing to others, and we deny others to be a blessing to us. So kahit uncomfortable, kahit masakit, kahit you will never see success in being authentic, that's much better than not being loved by God, to be apart from God. Because at the end of the day, it is God who truly matters. And even if the whole world rejects us, God will never reject us, because God will always love us. God will always love who we are and who we are meant to be because He will transform us with His love. And that's the most important thing. Sabi nga niya sa Romans 8:31, if God is for us, then who can be against us? Okay, let's